We'll continue now with Georgia head coach Kirby Smart. The Bulldogs are open this week following their victory over Kentucky on Saturday. And coach, while we wait on any questions, if you could please take a moment to comment on your team as you enter this open date. One second while we get Coach Smart on the line. Please go ahead and use the raise hand function if you are going to have a question for Coach Smart.
Hello.
Hey, Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
While we wait on questions, would you mind commenting coming off the win at Kentucky as you enter this open date?
Yeah, we've been practicing the last, I guess, 3 days, 2 days, Monday, Tuesday. Today will be day 3 for us. And off week, we've really been trying to work on kind of personal improvement plans for each player and doing some quality control, special teams, offense, defense, and then honing in on some recruiting with this time we have as we get ready for this off week.
All right, Coach, we'll start you off with Colin Gray of the Tuscaloosa News.
Hi, Kirby. As you prepare for Alabama, I'm curious what your impression is of Ryan Williams from his first 3 games, what you guys are doing in terms of, I guess, what you've seen from film and how you guys are preparing for a guy like that.
We haven't started on Alabama yet. We're working on us right now, and our typical protocol is to work on all the opponents we have further out, and then as the week goes, we begin honing in on that. So we actually are worked on other opponents yesterday. We're going to work on some opponents coming up today, and then we begin our Alabama work tomorrow. So I would be remiss. I obviously know who Ryan is. He's extremely talented. Kid we recruited. He came over and saw us several times. He's a delightful personality. He's fun to be around and a great kid.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Chip Towers of the AJC.
Yeah, Coach, I meant to ask you about this last night, but did you ever get any clarification or did you agree with the roughing the passer call on Jaylen Walker?
Yeah, we got confirmation from the league, like we typically do on, I'm a 7 to 8 calls. I don't know what the typical number is. We send in just wanting to understand and know the interpretation on different calls, not just roughing the passer. But McDade confirmed and felt strongly that was a penalty, and it was more about the finish and the driving to the ground. And they're trying to make a concerted effort, obviously, to protect the quarterback.
Yeah, that's what Jaylen said. But looking at it, I was trying to think, what could he have done? I mean, what would he turn his body and try to roll? That looked like as textbook of a tackle as just about I've ever seen.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be that way. I mean, it's going to be that way for a lot of people because they're trying to protect that position, and it's tough because they're basically asking him to roll over and take the brunt of that on himself. So instead of him falling on top of Brock, it should be Brock falling on top of him, and he's got to somehow torque his body to twist and land on himself, which it's tough.
Crazy. Thanks, Coach.
Next is Mike Griffith of AJC Dog Nation.
Kirby, I believe you've won 21 straight games where you've had more than 1 week to prepare, dating back to the Texas Sugar Bowl after the 2018 season. First part of my question, what would you attribute that success to? And then 2, you've identified Trevor Etienne as a leader. You put him out there yesterday. How unique is that for an incoming transfer to be able to assume a leadership role as Trevor has for you guys?
Well, I don't know how unique. I mean, we've had several guys that have come in and done that for us. Dom Lovett has been able to do that for us in terms of leadership. Mo Smith was the first guy, and he was voted captain after one season of doing that. And I know I'm missing some other guys here because it's all running together. But we've had a lot of guys. I think of Trey McKitty. It was just I don't think it's that unusual to happen anymore. It's more about the character of the kid or the person that's coming in, and like what kind of person are they? You know, like if you're a good leader at one place and you transfer to another place, that mean you can't be a good leader. Certainly, we have a lot of structure and foundation, I feel like, in place that maybe coming into our place is like, well, they've got established leaders, they've had success. It'll be harder to break into that, but you know, it's really just each individual player. London's going to be a good leader for us. He's just younger. But Etienne had played a lot of winning football, so he had a little bit of a platform to start with, and he's just a really, really good person.
And then as far as your success, 21 straight with more than a week to prepare, what would you attribute that to?
Good players. You got good players. I don't know, who all we played in all those games. It could vary, obviously it could be bowl games and bowl prep, and I guess preseason, and then I guess whoever we play after our off weeks. But I certainly attribute a lot of it to having really good players.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Lacy Alexander of Alabama Public Radio.
Coach, with this being the first year that you get 2 bye weeks, does having an off week this early in the season, does that feel weird to your team? Is it helpful? How does your team handle having a bye week this early?
It's different. I don't know if I call it weird, but it's different. I think the management of it is critical because are all bye weeks the same? Are all bye weeks created equal? We had to go back and look to the last time we had 2 in one season, and how we use those and where they fall. Bye weeks serve different purposes. And I think ours fall at 2 very different, distinct times. So we will treat them very differently in terms of how we utilize them.
Thank you, Coach.
Next, we'll go Anthony Dasher with UGAsports.com.
Hey, Coach, off the top of your head, since you've been at Georgia, how many times have you had 3 defensive linemen take 50-plus reps in the game, like I think you had the other night? And kind of as it pertains to that, what are the challenges you're facing now between getting guys healthy and coaching up some of the younger guys to take more reps?
Well, the challenges of getting healthy is really out of my hands. There's not a lot that I can do. That's a training staff thing, and they do a tremendous job. And that's God putting his healing hands on them. I can't speed that process up. In terms of how many times that's happened, I don't know or remember. You guys probably have to tell me. It's not normal for us. We like to rotate at that position. We want to stay fresh. But we knew going into that game that potentially could happen. And some of that's self-inflicted, because if you don't get off the field on 3rd down, then you're going to take, 3 more and possibly more and possibly more. And that usually compounds itself in games. And we could have done a better job of reducing that. We could have done a job offensively reducing that by keeping the ball. So some of it was a circumstance of that game, but we're in a lot better place. We've got young defensive linemen that are getting better, but we may not have felt like they were ready for that. May not have felt like that was the position to put them in. And I do think Jamal Jarrett and Xavier McLeod did a good job relieving those guys some, and probably could have done even more. But neither of them had gotten a lot of work. Like Xavier McLeod didn't practice till either Wednesday or Thursday. So it was it's one of those things that will feel much better in this off week already with the guys that are taking reps.
Which will wrap you up with Palmer Toms of Dawgs HQ.
Yeah,
Right.
Kirk, wanted to ask about what a typical bye week Saturday looks like for you. Are you trying to get a glimpse at some of the future opponents, or are you trying to get away from football for the day?
If the opponents are on, I'll watch them. I'm not trying to specifically watch them and like take notes. I'm not going to do that. I get all the coach's copy and the game footage. If anything, I'm watching, game management. how people are going about things, maybe what other teams are doing, just enjoying the ability to sit back and watch games.
And then wanted to ask about Julian Humphrey. Feels like he's been off to a strong start. What have you noticed from him as he's been, especially coming off that injury late last season?
He's taken a really focused effort on improvement in terms of like his ability to communicate, anticipate things, play with technique, tackle better. He's done a really good job of taking ownership in that. I told him, through preseason camp, he talks and anticipates and communicates really well for a corner. He does it almost like he's a safety in terms of making calls, and that puts him in a better position to be successful, anticipating problems and motion adjustments and different things.
Coach, thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.